This is Hard Parking, brought to you by Right Honda and Right Toyota, Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm your host, Jhae Pfenning. Coming up on today's show, Mr. Dwayne Johnson, not The Rock. He is here in studio. It's been a long time since I've had an in-studio guest. It is my pleasure. Dwayne, not The Rock Johnson, Jupiter Fish on Instagram. Longtime friend of mine, 20 years. Welcome officially to the Hard Parking Studios.
Thank you. It's good to be here on a mic that sounds good. AirPods are not that great.
So what happened the last time you were telling me the story that we recorded over the phone?
I thought I was the man. I had some AirPods. I thought, it'll be fine, and I'm with my wife and child riding up north in Michigan and listening to podcasts, and my voice is bouncing around like Woody the Woodpecker. So I was like, there's a difference. So I get it now. I see your setup here, so I feel like I'm in a studio for sure. So
you are in a studio, a makeshift studio.
It's still a studio though. You got lights and arms and mics. They got wires hanging off them. This is legit.
A lot of this is made possible by my patrons. And of course, those of you who listen that don't actually financially support the show, you make me feel better by listening to the show. And it kind of makes me, it gives me more energy to keep going. It's that motivation. Like, come on, you can do it. One day you're going to win.
We're winning already.
So we went to Monterey Car Week, man. Well, what was your, I've gone a few times. You were probably my 8th choice.
That's all right.
Maybe 9th choice because nobody else either A, wanted to go with me or could go. And I was like, who the fuck? So let me call Fish up and see if Fish can go. So, how did your first official Monterey Car Week go?
Pretty good. I remember when you called, I was up north. My wife was standing next to me and you're like, hey, you want to go to Monterey? And immediately my brain went to, okay, getting to California, COVID, flights, so I started the planning process, but immediately I started thinking about the event itself and I was like, wow, it's kind of hard to say no to that. So it's kind of like a either getting in or you're not type thing. So jumped on the opportunity and it was a great time. It exceeded my expectations.
Tell us about your first experience on the way to Monterey.
I think everybody that has done multiple flights or flies a lot has been in a situation where you're looking at, it's almost like you're playing Duck, Duck, Goose with the people that are sitting there waiting and you're like, oh, I hope I don't have to sit by that person. And, as it happens, I go to get down in my seat and I'm counting the rows down and I'm against the window. I know that. And as sure as I'm counting down the seats, it's like the people we were kind of referencing in the beginning, I ended up sitting next to them. So immediately we engage in conversation as we're waiting to taxi and do all that stuff. And I got to admit, I'm the first person, I know a lot about cars in general information, but not the people behind them. I mean, I couldn't tell you who designs Ferraris or definitely couldn't pick out somebody that designs Porsches or whatever, But so as we're sitting down, we're getting ready to take off and I'm engaging in conversation with this person and, they're really chatty and we start talking about different things and they're asking me about Car Week and Monterey. And I asked them if this is their first time going and I said, no, my husband passed away and they're honoring him. And so I'm coming out to get an award. And I thought, wow, that's kind of a big deal. Ford Motor Company is doing this. I don't think they do that for everybody. Mm-hmm. So she initially tells me her name and tells me her name is Pat. And so Pat and I start talking and I let her know that I'm an architect and we're doing, then we're talking about architecture for the next 45 minutes. So we're having this conversation to the point where you've been on a plane and you're talking to somebody and you feel like it's rude if you put your headphones on and kind of shut them out.
We've all been there.
So the conversation is continuing on and the person that's with her is kind of adding to it who's on the other side of the aisle and I'm sitting on the window.
Her hype chick.
Yeah. So we're sitting here talking and laughing. This turns into like a 2-hour conversation. So right when we get ready to land, we get into Monterey and she tells me her name. And so I'm texting Jay, he's sitting behind me. And I'm like, hey,
That's me.
I'm like, hey, I just had a great conversation with Pat.
And I'm like, LOL, that's her name? Because, we saw her sitting down. We're like, look at that, the lady right there.
And I'm like, yeah, Pat. And then I go to type the last name and I just butcher it. Like, between.
Let me tell you, hold on. Let me go to exactly how you spelt it.
I was thinking of visually how it would look. And then with Apple autocorrect.
I go, is that her name? LOL. Yes. BO space in uppercase NNERA small X racing school.
So yeah, she tells me she runs a racing school. Her husband did, her late husband. And I'm like, yeah, I remember when we were out here at the auctions, I remember seeing one of the cars and it had an X on it. So I thought, I don't know, maybe that's how she spells her last name.
I don't know what fuck car you're looking at.
I remember seeing their logo with an X on it. So anyway, her last name is, I want to say Bondurant, but it's not that.
Bondurant.
So anyway, so she gets off the plane and Jay's kind of following me out and I kind of wait for him. I'm grabbing my luggage and he's like, dude, that's
Pat Bondurant? He goes, yeah, racing school. I don't know nothing about it. I go, that's Bob Bondurant.
Yeah.
Like one of the Le Mans winners. They're a huge deal out here, which I understand you don't know. I didn't know about them when I moved out here 9 years ago.
Yeah. And she mentioned Ford versus Ferrari. I've seen the movie, but I remember it was like Matt Damon, so I don't know who he was. But
right.
I knew Matt Damon was in it.
Yeah.
And,
Matt Damon, he was Carroll Shelby, but yeah, Bondurant was in there, but he wasn't type of deal.
Yeah. So long story short, she tells me, hey, look me up when you get into town, whatever you guys are doing. If you're going to be at the Quail or whatever, I'll be around. So I thought, so she's telling me about, I don't really feel comfortable talking about because I'm not sure how much she wants out there. And I'm sure this is going to get heard worldwide. So, of course.
Yeah, enough to tell a complete stranger on the plane. But it's funny though, because it's like, and you see this in airports all the time. People will tell complete strangers their whole life story because there's nothing to worry about.
Right. I'm from out of town. I don't know anything about racing schools, let alone any desire to race. I'm going out to Monterey for the first time, so she must have felt really comfortable. So, and she's very genuine. So I thought, okay, well, when people tell you stuff like that, like, oh yeah, look me up, you're kind of like, all right, well, I mean, if I see you, you're probably not going to remember me anyway, especially if you're going to an awards dinner with 100 people.
Especially if you're Pat Bondurant. And you should be on a private jet anyway.
Correct. We did talk about that. And so we talked about scuffing up Louis luggage and the car things. But so anyway, so we get off the plane. Jay and I go to the Acura event, which was amazing.
It was.
That was quite the soiree, I would say. DJ was great. The unveiling of the vehicles were great. The people were great. I was going into it trying to kind of dress and play the background because I didn't know anybody. And sometimes you go to those events and you're a plus one for somebody that knows everybody. So either that person, you really rely on that person to either introduce you and bring you into the conversation, or you just like, I don't know, I'm just going to chill out in the corner and listen to house music. So it was cool that you did a lot of introductions. I appreciate that. And a lot of cool down-to-earth people had some great conversations. And everybody there is really passionate about what they're doing moving forward. And it's a great time. I mean, did you have a great time? Food was good?
Yeah, I had a good time. The food was good. Yep.
Drinks
were good. I didn't eat as much this weekend as normal. But before we go any further, you have a Cayenne and it's kind of overlanded out.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about 4 Wheel Online?
Yeah, I bought a Cayenne and lifted it and had to get wheels and tires. I had no idea where to get tires, but I've done some research. But for over a decade, 4 Wheel Online has been bringing the best truck accessories and truck parts to enhance the appearance and performance of all trucks and SUVs. I heard that once on your site, and I said, you know what? I'm going to give them a call. So check them out. They are really great to deal with. They're dedicated to providing an extensive range of upgrades that will match any make and model on the road. I mean, even Cayennes. So their truck products cover everything and give you a truck custom look and added functionality. So they got a configuration tool. I went on there, got some Kenda cleavers and some nice wheels with the right offset to fit my vehicle. And
I hope they have that there.
Yeah, but they carry all major brands of wheels and tires.
So they should, right? Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, you get outfitted today if you want to. So, but it is a great place to go to get started or to put a package together, get them shipped to your house. It's great.
How do you get to them?
I typically go to 4 Wheel Online. That's 4, number 4, WHEELONLIN.com. Or you can give them a call at 813-769-2451.
Well done. You made it.
Yeah,
that was a good job.
I tried to range in it, it's great, but you need truck parts. Go get it. Tires make a lot of noise.
You need truck parts. Go get it. This conversation is also sponsored by the Cell Shop, an Arizona-based retailer that strives to be your destination of choice for wireless services, whether Arizona or Washington State. They are an authorized AT&T detailer, so give them a shot at Cell Shop. That's CELSHOP.us and get connected today. You can tell who reads my ads every week.
Yeah, right. It's a little harder than
you did good, man, because you're reading somebody else's shit.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny when you say that, but yeah, everybody talks a little different. But as long as the point got across. 4 Wheel Online.
4 Wheel Online. I think you did great.
I think I need some more tires.
Listening, think you did great. So Monterey Car Week. So we do the Acura thing.
Yep. Good time. Suited and booted.
People are so nice. The executives. John Arcata.
Good guy.
Awesome guy. VP Acura brand. He's walk up to him, approachable. That's one thing I love about. And first off, Acura doesn't pay me for this podcast. They don't even listen to this podcast.
Absolutely.
My Acura Connect doesn't listen to shit. But, they've been good to me and my people.
So. Yeah, I would say
and they're very approachable. And I don't know too many car manufacturers where you can take and I'm just a normal person. I really am. I'm not some 3 million, whatever YouTuber. I'm not an actor. I'm not none of that shit. There's no reason for them to be as cool as they are. But, I think that's one car company where anyone can walk up at one of these events. You could just be anybody and you can strike up a conversation with anybody from the brand.
Yes.
Like literally anybody from the brand, and they will entertain that conversation for as long as you want.
Yeah, we had a good time. I mean, we had a good conversation about 80s and 90s Hondas. Why
He's passionate about it.
Yeah, why everybody was loving it. And it was a good point about, the design language that was being used back then was just far superior than everything else. And their vehicles were sleek and everybody wanted them.
So then we go, after that, we go hang out with Goldie.
Oh, man, that's like my little brother. Ben and I met. He's my neighbor. Well, he used to be my neighbor, probably.
Big Aston Martin guy.
Yeah, probably 20 years ago, I met Ben. We moved into the same subdivision at the same time, and it was kind of a weird meeting. I remember we're both cutting our grass at the same time. We met at the edge of our lot, and I remember looking at
some lady in the Trans Spaghetti shit.
Yeah, and I stopped. I had to talk to him. We were 3 feet away from each other, and he had his nipple pierced, so I was like... This is throwing a vibe. So we ended up talking, and he was super cool. He just graduated and he invited us over for a party, me and my wife. So we had just moved in and we didn't have any kids or anything. And so we go to this party and I'm looking around and it's all these kind of younger frat boys that are in their early 20s. And my wife's looking at me like, why are we here? We're in our 30s. And so Ben finally comes up and he's asking some information. He's like, hey, when did you graduate? And I was like, 92. He's like, elementary school? And I was like, no, high school. And he's like, how old are you? And I'm like, I'm 32. And he's like, oh, man, we thought you guys were like our age.
Young and cool and hip.
Yeah, it's like, we thought you were like 22. And I'm like,
y'all look like chaperones right now.
I'm thinking, why would I buy a house at 22? I would have been at the bar and buying tennis shoes. So, but we turned out to be really good friends. And he has since moved on to San Diego. And so he hit me up once I told him that we were going to Monterey, and he said he was going to drive up with some of his buddies and their Aston Martins and all their good stuff. So they came up. So we ended up hooking up with them in the evening at one of the hotels down there that had the auction.
That's the Portola.
Yeah. They had
that's a major. So they had a Sotheby's auction. Sotheby's, yeah.
That was like their main location for it. So I'm in there. We meet them over there for drinks, and I'm telling them the story of meeting Pat. And they're kind of, like, wow, that's cool. Of course they know who she is. And I guess I was the only person that didn't. And just as I'm telling the story, Pat walks in. So at this point, I'm thinking to myself, oh shit, there she is.
So this was like somebody, this was like it was staged, and there was a producer standing off mic to say, okay, Pat, go, 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 go.
And so she walks in with her daughter, and I'm thinking either she's going to remember me or she's going to blow right by me and be like, I don't know the guys. So I have to either commit to introducing myself or calling her out or, so all this is going through my mind. And before I even say anything, she looks over and screams my name and comes and gives me the biggest hug.
Well, she called you what? Did she say Dwayne, or what did she have some
called me
nickname?
her roommate.
Room, yeah.
Because that was our room,
space,
our little
plane.
exit row. Yeah, so we were roommates. And so she gives me a big hug. Her daughter gives me a hug, and we're sitting there, and I look over, and my friend Ben is looking at me like, holy shit, you weren't lying.
Pat Bondurant, just to throw that in there.
And so she's got her award that she just won, and she's coming back to the hotel because they were staying there. And so I introduced her to everybody, and she's genuinely interested, a beautiful person, just really nice. And
Try to get on the pod.
Took the time to talk to everybody and introduce herself, and she talked about what she was moving forward with the school and things like that, the driving school. And it was just a great moment, because I thought, here's somebody that said, hey, if you see me, don't be shy, say hi to me. And in those times when people tell you that, and you're thinking like, oh,
they don't mean it.
Yeah, they don't mean
they're
it.
They're not going to see you again when they say
right. And then you see her less than 24 hours later, and it's like, oh, she's not going to be. We weren't drinking beers or anything on the plane. We were drinking ginger ale, but yeah, it was just a really funny moment. It was kind of like a full circle moment, and so we all kind of laughed about it and stuff. But what a great start to Monterey Week. Car Week. Saw some great cars downtown there. Is that Carmel?
Yeah, so we went to Carmel on Saturday, but Friday we went to Quail.
Anybody east of the Mississippi is going to call it Carmel. So just
caramel is spelled different, like caramel.
Looks close enough.
Carmel. I can see people calling it Carmel. It's Carmel Valley. Yeah, Carmel.
There's
a few places I mispronounced, and I can't spell Quail for the life of me.
That's a difficult
every
one.
time I try to spell it, I fuck up. Like
kind of looks like the bird.
Every time.
Like the little Q with the little head on it.
Quail. Q-U-I-A-L probably.
Q-U. I know that part. I before A. I before E.
Q-U-I-A-L. Q-U-A. See, I don't know. But
that's one of those words you Googled twice.
We hung out with Goldie and his group. Fucking fantastic guys.
Great group of guys, man.
And their girls were cool too, but those guys are hilarious.
Yeah, we got to get with them again. They're just... Ben Goldstein is a genuine person. Like I put levels to not only friendships, but the differences between acquaintances.
He's a fun cat.
He is somebody that if I needed to call on something for anything, he'd be there. And I would do the same for him. But just because I know him, I know the people that he rolls with are similar to that. And that was just shown through. I mean,
I couldn't cutting on each other all night.
I couldn't tell you the names, but
funny.
It's like a bunch of frat guys that get together.
Seems like it,
yeah. Standing on an army base. They're probably playing fart jokes all night. So,
right.
But yeah, it was a good time. Great time.
So there was a McLaren F1 in the back room.
Yep.
The first time I ever saw McLaren was at that same spot, but it was outside, parked around the stanchions on the stage. This time it was the gray F40.
F40, yeah.
Was parked out there.
You know what else I noticed when we were in that hotel? I kind of stuck my head in a little forbidden area back there, and security was approaching. I saw Jordans in like a case. Now,
that's crazy.
Any other time, I would think, okay, maybe these are hand-signed Michael Jordans, but when I'm seeing like, I'm gonna chop this up for the sneakerheads, but like anytime I'm seeing like blue and white Jordans, like the North Carolinas, I know those aren't signed. I'm like, are they seriously auctioning tennis shoes off that are just like not signed memorabilia? I mean, I know sneakers are getting really hard to get and just out of control, but I was surprised. I took a picture of it, but maybe Jordan signed them all. I don't know, but I doubt it.
And I don't know if they were part of this weekend or not, because I know they push stuff through the auctions, but I also know that there's like different style of auctions.
Yeah,
too.
There was different auctions for like parts and pieces and stuff, not just full cars, but like different things. So
we get to the hotel Friday. We get up.
You got to tell them about the hotel, the Butterfly.
Oh my God! So the Butterfly Inn. So first off, and you guys have heard me burn about it a little bit. Monterey Car Week moved. They slid. They were a week early, so my original reservations were the 11th through the 14th. Now they had to be the 18th to the 20th, 18th to the 21st, 18th to the 19th.
That's why I'm here.
I didn't know because my daughter's graduating from school. Except for like beauty school, beautician school, esthetician. But for some reason, she doesn't know when she graduated. So we were playing this game for 2 weeks. She goes, I'm not sure of the date. I said, well, can you ask? I don't know. I emailed them. I go, can you only access email at school or at home on your iPad, your computer, your phone? So after I've canceled and rescheduled 100 times, and she's like, oh, I'm not graduating until October. But by then, I already had everything booked for the 10th time because every time I canceled and tried to reschedule, that room was no longer available. So I found this Butterfly Inn, which is on...
it was in like Jurassic Park. The trees were 1,000 feet tall and all the bark was falling off. There's moss everywhere. I swear we slept in Louisiana. I've been to California all over the place. I just never seen moss on trees like that.
Pacific Grove. So it was on the west side of Pacific Grove, pretty much where all the roads ended and the ocean started. But yeah, this room, super nice people at the gate, at the front, right?
Fresh coffee.
Everything was pink.
Everything was pink.
Pinkish.
Like a full-blown bubblegum pink, like pink.
But this had to have been like a mid-century home. It smelled like grandma's house.
It reminded me of like a giant four-square house that you would see like in Grand Rapids in the historic district, and they just put like thousands of layers of
paint. The Heritage Hill District.
Yeah. But it was pink. It was bubblegum pink by choice because it had white trim too. So that was a design choice.
So we walk in, and the first thing there is a sofa facing us, covered in sheets. Which to the right, there's a queen bed and a TV, like right inside the door, a crooked TV and a fireplace and a sign above the fireplace that says "Do not have a fire"
because of the butterflies. Right, it kills butterflies.
Directly in front of us was another bed, and to the left wall was a fireplace and another TV. It was a big square room.
But it was one giant room, but the beds were 90 degrees to each other. So
right.
It's kind of like if you're laying in a...
perpendicular.
Like a half side of a box or something.
They represented 2 of the 4 directions on a 4-way stop.
Yeah. So north and east.
And nobody wanted to go first. One of them stop signs.
And so a picture of this. So if I lay on my bed and I look forward, I see a TV. And if you lay on your bed and look forward, you see a TV. So the TV sight lines are crossed 90 degrees. I've never seen that.
That's bizarre.
I do architecture for a living. I've never seen that.
And it's weird because
it might be a new thing.
Most hotel rooms, they're going to have 2 queen beds. And they're long and narrow, and you're used to them. Yeah. You're used to walking in and having those beds right next to each other. So it was just weird. It was much more space than you would typically get.
Yeah, I mean, it did have closet space. And we did have an additional fireplace that was plug-in.
And there was a weird door. You open that up.
There's a door. Of course, you got to open it. So I think it was a closet, and I open it up, and there's a set of stairs that go up.
There was like a hallway that went left, and then in front of that was some stairs.
And it had light coming from it. So I just put the chain back on the door and shut it.
Put the chain on the door. Shut the door. Nobody needs to die.
I didn't even want to get like into some weird ghost stuff. I'm glad we didn't hear any weird pops and bangs in the middle of the night because it just would have freaked me out.
So if you guys are interested, I picked up a Jeep Grand Cherokee. No, just a regular Cherokee. Big difference.
Yes.
So we were pushing around a Jeep Cherokee all weekend. And there's this thing because, my boy Alex was going to go. He was thinking about renting like a sports car or something. And it would have been cool to mob around in like a convertible R8. But no one cares.
Absolutely.
Like it does not matter in Monterey Car. We just get to where you're going.
You might as well be Ubering yourself around in an Uber car because that's all you're doing is waiting in traffic to go somewhere.
You're waiting in traffic. And once you get there, no one cares. Because unless you have a VIP parking pass and you're at a VIP event and your car that you're driving is supposed to be displayed somewhere,
it doesn't even matter.
No one cares.
Our Jeep was next to a Ferrari F50 on the grass.
Pretty much,
on the grass.
So Acura hooked it up this year. They gave us a VIP parking pass. Everybody who came with us, it wasn't just me. So there's like 5 passes they gave to our group. But we're pulling in. And we're driving. It's on a golf course, so this is the Quail.
You're going over humps and mounds of grass.
Yeah, so we're driving, and we're on the golf cart road, and then when we park, we're literally parked next to a Ferrari 575, which is the successor to the 550 Marinella, but also in the parking grass with us. Dwayne just said there were 2 F50s
Yeah.
There was a couple Paganis, actually.
Couple Paganis.
There was
2 Singers right next to each other, almost the same
Porsches,
color.
Who knows how many Rolls Royces, a Lamborghini Uruses.
The Uruses are everywhere. There was the
McLaren F1.
There was the
McLaren F1, the McLaren P1.
McLaren P1 GTR, which looked ridiculously out of place sitting in the grass with slicks on. And just numerous beautiful examples of vehicles, like literally waiting to be door dinged by a Jeep. I mean, you could have kicked your door
by a Chrysler Pacifica. Like it was literally, it wasn't like, okay, all these $1 and $2 million cars park here and everybody else park here. No, it was, you could park. I could have pulled up next to the Ferrari F50. No one could reasonably complain.
And it's crazy to think that either that means that you have so much money that you don't care, like you'd park your 550 right up front next to at the Aldi's, and you don't care about door dings, like because it's just another car to you, or you just either don't care because you know you can get it fixed. I don't know, but I just can't imagine.
It's Monterey Car Week.
Yeah, maybe that's just part of the.
That's what it is. Like everybody, it's just
like pull it out.
So hard to explain.
Yeah,
because it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I was in the parking lot running around like an idiot, taking pictures of cars for like 20 minutes.
So we go inside the Quail. Tell us, like, what did you see at the Quail? What did you like about the Quail? We don't have to chronicle every single step. But like, what were your takeaways? Like, what did you see at the Quail that you liked? What didn't you know?
I liked the.
What surprised you?
I liked that. Well, first of all, not knowing really how much the tickets cost and levels of entry, so your mind kind of says, "Well, I don't know if I'm going to get there, and there are going to be ropes around the cars, or am I going to be able to walk up and touch the cars, or there's certain areas I can't go that other people can go." I mean, usually you
could put your bare ass on a car. Now you'll probably get kicked out.
Yeah, but I mean, you literally have full access. So I don't know what I paid for my ticket. Maybe people paid more. Maybe we all paid the same.
No, so the tickets that we have, general admission, they're about $1,200 a piece.
Okay, so I saw people with other color bracelets. I don't know if there was secret food booths underground or something you could get to.
No, there's like VIP. I wouldn't say VIP because there's nowhere else you can go, but it may be buyers or better something. There's probably vendor bracelets.
Yeah, but I did see people with other colors. I thought, well, I don't know. I was just assuming there was, like everything in the world, there was tier access that we were going to have to deal with, but that wasn't the case. Walk in, grab a glass of champagne, and lifestyles are rich and famous the whole way. The rest of the day,
pretty much
rich and beyond your wildest dreams. Like the levels that I saw, it was almost like going into a room and thinking like, oh, I'm at the. I know in reality, what rich people do with their money and all this stuff and what things cost. But then when you walk in there and you spend 20 minutes in there and you're looking at a Koenigsegg and you're like, man, that's a beautiful car. It's $2 million. And then you start wrapping your head around like all these cars. There's lots of $2 million cars. Right. And $4 million and $6 million. You're thinking like, I'd be happy to make that over in a lifetime, let alone spend it on one vehicle that I could ding in the parking lot. So when you start thinking about that and seeing helicopters take off all day, and there's a whole nother world of car culture that you don't get at Cars and Coffee on a Saturday morning, at least in Michigan. And it's kind of awesome. I could see where originally it was kind of one of those things where you look at it like, man, I thought I was doing all right, but I ain't doing all right. I need to work harder and all this stuff. But then you kind of, I don't say you beat yourself up, but you kind of judge yourself for a while in what you do and what you thought was great and amazing. But as I reflected on a plane today coming home, I thought, what a great opportunity to level up or re-look at your life and say, hey, if I really want to get a rough vehicle, the guy asked me.
People don't know what you're talking about when you say rough.
Oh, a Porsche. It was
RUF.
RUF, yep. Yeah. There's custom builder, coach builder of Porsche style vehicles.
Because where you're from in Michigan, you can go out the front door and get a rough car all day, full of rust.
Exactly.
Like literally rough.
Rough, of the 2Fs.
Well, yeah, ROU, rough.
But I was talking to the guy about it, and I knew all about this vehicle. I'm looking at this rough, and he's like, "Hey," I asked him, I said, "Hey, are you guys still taking orders? Because I'm thinking they're closed. These things have sold out." And he's like, "Oh no, let me go get $1,000,000." And I was like, no, I didn't bring my checkbook, so I don't have $500,000 to drop today. But as I was thinking about it, it's like I would want to aspire to be able to buy a vehicle there, and so I took away a lot of inspiration from it. It was great to see all the vehicles that you see in magazines or you see on TV, and you don't really get to experience the 3D of it, and to see them in person, and to be able to walk up to them, and it was pretty amazing. Like, I mean, to see all those Paganis that they had there. I mean, those cars are already rare. It's not like you see a bunch of YouTubers driving them around, and to see a bunch of them in person and how customizable they are with the leathers and finishes and stuff. It's pretty amazing that people are driving around and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think I walked around and counted like 12 of them. Let's take a quick break for this word from Anchor. It's my voice, so you don't have to hit fast forward 30 seconds.
They do that button.
If you do 30 seconds twice and then back 10 seconds twice, I think you'll be at the end of the commercial. All right, I forgot where we were. I think we were talking about the Quail and about the food, right? What kind of foods did we have at the Quail?
Yeah, that was actually surprising. I thought
I wanted steak, but we didn't get to the steak.
Well, I assume, and again, I was thinking that would be one way they would figure out a way to tier your entry price to say, well, you only have access to this, these chicken fingers and stuff or whatever over here.
Not for $1,200 a ticket.
Yeah, and thankfully, not just chicken fingers. I didn't even see any chicken fingers there, but
there were fish and chips.
There were fish and chips, and they were good with the mushed peas and the little.
You're into that weird, crazy, disgusting shit. Like
I like
mashed
vegetables,
peas, man.
I like vegetables.
Peas?
In general, I like vegetables, so.
You got me eating green beans, though. We got green beans downstairs, and I just crack them out and eat them raw.
Yeah, I like that.
Not a lot, though, because they're fucking disgusting.
But I eat all vegetables. But mashed peas, that was actually pretty good. Flavored pretty good, to meet a broad crowd of flavor spectrum.
What do you... Because it's somebody like me who hates peas, the thought of mashed peas is just fucking disgusting. But I would imagine you season them with something, and then, they're palatable.
Yeah. I mean, so like I will literally take a frozen bag of peas and microwave them in a steam bag and just eat those with a little lemon pepper on them.
Jesus.
And maybe a little lightly buttered, depending on how my cholesterol level is for the week. And eat a whole bag. Like I like vegetables like that. And so mushy peas, all they were is they literally just took peas that were frozen and then somebody hit them with a hammer and then they put a little salt on them. But it was pretty good. It was interesting. I know it's an English thing, so I was like, I'm just going to go full Monty and try it. So, yeah, that was good. And then we did try some other stuff. So as you went around to the different areas, there was different food, which was nice. That was actually quite surprising because they were pretty lengthy menu items. It's not like one or two things. It was like each thing had 7 unique items all the way down to a dessert and drink.
Each tent had their own unique cocktail.
And as a non-drinker, I wouldn't know, but your opinion on the drinks, there were some things that you thought were not very good.
Yeah, so the last drink I had before they shut up shop was just like gin. It was Bombay. Like Bombay is cheap. It's cheap gin. I don't care what anyone says.
Pine needles, yeah.
Yeah, it's really piney.
It's piney.
Real junipery, technically.
Yeah, like straight bush.
Yeah.
House bush.
But... I got a flush reaction from that, of course. But there's another place I had some sort of a mixed drink. I forgot what they called it. It was called like something refresher, right?
Oh, yeah.
It had a cucumber in it. It had a lemon in it, but it had this ingredient that I'd never heard of. And it's like licorice based. So it kind of tastes like black licorice. It kind of numbs your tongue. And not Sambuca, because that's the one.
I was just going to say, is it Sambuca? Because I've had that before as a non-drinker. And it's
it wasn't
taste.
It wasn't Sambuca, but it reminded me of Sambuca or Lucid, which has absinthe in it.
Yes.
Lucid, I would take a shot. It's disgusting, but it'll give you some wild dreams. And so for that, I would take a shot of it because I'm still like a 5-year-old. Like, I just want to have crazy dreams.
Dream crazy stuff.
Yeah. But this is where they had like the lamb kebabs over behind the Ferrari area.
Where the mummy was.
You're going to hell for that. There's some old man there, and his mouth was like sunk in. Like he had no lips.
He had no business being
His mouth was just like open. Permanently
totally
open.
Threw me off.
Walked around, looked lost, and this motherfucker says, yeah, check out that mummy. And I looked over at him and I could not stop laughing. I was like, come on, man. And I even to this morning, I said that to Johnny. I go, hey, there's a mummy behind you.
The same
Johnny
guy
could not stop laughing.
The same outfit. I swear to God, he was like an alien following me in like buckaroo bonds.
Right. But, so I had a drink at that tent with the mummy.
Oh my God.
And that was not a good drink. And sometimes they've had drinks that are almost like old fashioned Manhattans. Like I like that style where you have like legit hard liquor that you know of. I think Bullet was there once. I don't drink Bullet products anymore, but they were there. They literally had like a Bullet cart. It looked like a little stagecoach full of liquor. And they were like sponsoring it.
Well, and the thing is too, there were some non-alcoholic drinks too. And again, refreshers because it was hot outside. And one of them had lemonade. It was like lemonade, strawberry juice. It sounded really refreshing. And, ice and a little bit of orange juice or something. And the way the guy put it together, it was like 90% lemon juice.
Oh, hell no.
And so I took a big swig of this and just turned my face inside out. And I thought, either the guy doesn't know how to make this, or if this was the final product that it should have been, this is not refreshing in the middle of the sunny day to drink straight lemon juice. So I kind of ditched it. And I noticed when we were at the kebab place, you didn't finish your drink because it just...
I took like 4 sips.
It was almost undrinkable. But the people that just randomly came up to their table left their full drinks there.
Yeah, they were in line behind me.
Yeah, and I saw you guys talking.
Yeah, and she's like, how is it? I go, I don't...
And so the drinks are free, so I mean...
Yeah. And that's the thing. So we got to the table and we started eating it, and they left us, and I was drinking it because I don't like... wasting alcohol.
Well, that's the thing. It's like,
and I was like, wait, I'm not going to drink this. I don't like it. And I didn't pay $10, $20 for it.
Right.
I just put it down. That's one of the only times I can remember ever leaving a drink behind.
And the lady that came over,
if I was drunk. Yeah.
Yeah. The lady that came over, she was walking away with hers, and the lady came to pick up your drink to clear the table, and she gave her full drink, and the girl kind of looked at her funny, like, oh, you didn't want this? Uh-huh. And it's like, yeah, you're probably getting a lot of these dumped in the grass.
What did you see at the Quail car-wise that you just couldn't live without?
Oh, gosh.
And what did you see that just blew your mind? Because you see some cool shit in Michigan. You go to these shows and stuff like that.
I think the biggest thing for me, because I'm an air-cooled Porsche person. I own a air-cooled Porsche. And that car, the size of a car from the 90s, is something that you kind of have to get used to because it's small. I can touch both windows with my elbows in it, and at the same time. And to see like a Koenigsegg in person and look at it and say, I just kept catching myself like saying, man, that's a big car.
It is
the Hennessy Venom, I think is the new one they call it. It's a full, it's the size of an F-150 pickup. It's wide. It's just low to the ground, but just the overall size of a lot of the newer cars. I mean, they're bigger vehicles.
But you see those cars at other events.
Yeah, I'm always blown away by the size.
Maybe not. I don't know. I don't know if you see a Koenigsegg.
No, we don't have in Michigan.
For reference, for those of you movie buffs, remember Fast 5, which is the Fast and Furious where they steal the vault. At the very end, Ludacris has one, and then Tyrese has one.
The doors kind of flip up in a weird way, like they're getting ready to fly off in front of the car.
If you've seen the movie Need for Speed, there's one in there. I think the main asshole has one.
Yeah, but but they're beautiful, well-engineered cars.
$2 or $3 million cars.
Yeah, but just the overall size of a lot of these supercars, it seems like they're getting bigger. Of course, as a Porsche person, seeing a Singer in person and the new turbo study that they did, the quality of that car in person is so close to perfect. And I don't know if it's just because this is the only one that exists right now, and it's almost like a prototype but just like the gaps of the doors and everything, it's just like the perfect car. It's almost rendering level perfect.
And so for those of you listening and trying to follow along, because a lot of these people have no idea what Singer is, what Koenigsegg
I thought we
is.
had car people on
there are some car people on here, but we got to dumb it down for some of these people.
Gotcha.
Because they use this show to learn.
Oh, true.
They do.
So Singer is a company that reimagines...
Makes sewing machines and staplers. Oh, that's Swing Line.
Swing, yeah. But
they do have
Singer does have sewing machines. It's not the same company.
They have some kitchen stuff too, right?
Yeah, they do actually. Singer is a company that reimagines, as they say, 911. So they take older 911s from the 90s and then they upgrade essentially everything, carbon fiber body panels and all this stuff. And they have their own way of molding the car to make it look more, they put more, curves on it and things like that.
And they paint them.
Yeah.
They paint them. So if you didn't know,
you
wouldn't know.
If you were a non-Porsche person and I drove up to a car meet and you're like, oh, nice 911, you wouldn't realize this car costs $900,000.
Right.
Because it's carbon fiber, everything, like all the body panels.
But it's been painted.
But it's painted. So it's no exposed carbon fiber. It's really understated. But just to see that car in person and just the level of attention to detail on that, it's almost, to me, to have something like that would be almost undrivable because like it would be a sin to get it dirty or get a rock chip or I don't know how these people deal with it, but they drive them. But overall, in general, it's just the whole and seeing a Pagani Huayra and latest models in person and just seeing how ornate it is. It was just a huge swing of the types of cars there. So you have cars that are $3-4 million. And then you've got a car that some guy is making that's beautiful. Maybe he's taken and redone an Alfa Romeo that was a $10,000 car and made it a $50,000 car. And they're all beautiful in their own way. But just in general, the variety of vehicles there. But for the new cars and all these new hypercars, I just don't know where they're going next. I mean, they're like rocket ships already. So
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was a great takeaway, and just people watching too. I mean, that's great.
Remember the Lincoln? It was like a rolling living room. It opened up like a clamshell. It had no steering wheel in it. It basically had two chase lounges or love seats facing each other. It's pitching out a fully automated future to where it's almost like a carnival ride where you get in the car, you tell it where you want to go, and you just sit back and relax.
I don't think I'll be around when that comes out. I don't want to be any part of it.
It feels like it's 20. It feels like something that's not actually going to happen.
I think if people keep running into things and crashing, they'll sell it as a safe way for you to get to wherever, God forbid they can get the money to put the infrastructure in to drive something like that around that, that can deal with stop signs and things like that. If we ever get that far into the future where we're just riding around in couches, like the movie with the little robot.
iRobot.
No. So cartoon.
Wall-E,
yeah. If we ever get to that point in our lives, at least in my lifetime.
Everybody was fat in that movie too, by the way.
Yeah, we're kind of getting there.
Yeah. Everyone was fat because it was picturing the future.
Right.
Where people got everything they wanted. You didn't have to lift your finger for anything.
Because the robots did it.
The robots and automation did everything.
And we're getting to that
We're
point.
kind of getting to that point now.
Automation's taking over. They got those little robot dogs coming. They're doing backflips and stuff now. But I guess I can't wrap my head around that being like an option for like, oh, I'm gonna buy a 911 or I'm gonna buy this Lincoln that has a couch in it and doesn't even have a steering wheel. But it's good to think about that future. But to me, it's almost like Star Wars. Like I'd see Darth Vader picking that up because it's just like it's so far in the future that maybe put it on a Hoth or something.
Well, no. Star Wars was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
But isn't that like future forward?
I don't know, man. It's documented. It was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
I know there's some YouTube people that probably will explain how that happened in the last 200 years ago.
So that was the Quail.
Yeah, that was awesome.
The Quail was really cool. Again, it's one of the premium events. Not the only one, but it's one of the premium events at Monterey Car Week. The tickets used to be $900. The only way you can typically get a ticket is through corporate relationships. If you had FU money and knew the right people, or you enter into the ticket lottery where you have an opportunity to buy a ticket. And in years past, it's been like a $900 ticket. This year and last year, it was easily over $1,000. So I wasn't swinging that kind of money. I would almost do it at least once.
Definitely worth it.
If you like cars, like really expensive cars, and access, there really is no replacement now.
There were no Hellcats there. I'm just going to put that out there.
So today is Saturday. Tomorrow's Sunday. Tomorrow they have Pebble Beach. And that's kind of a white glovesy event too. And those tickets are very expensive. I've never been to Pebble Beach, but a lot of the cars at Pebble Beach were also at Quail.
Yeah, but
and a lot of them are exotics on Broadway, which we did not get to, which Johnny Valencia was on here a few weeks ago. We ran out of time.
Yeah.
That's one thing about Monterey Car Week. There's just so many things to do. But we did see him, just like we said on the podcast. Dwayne and I was rolling to the hotel first day. We're looking at a BMW. We start talking about BMWs.
The grills in particular.
Yeah, and I was like,
it's like Skeletor.
It's like the Beaver Grill,
Skeletor.
Fuel Run, and we look at it a couple times, and then we get to a stoplight, and I look over, and Amy Shackelford, so those of you who follow that, she's driving. I go, oh shit, there's Amy and Johnny in the passenger seat right now. So I did see Johnny, but I did not link up with him while they were eating, and we did not make it over to Exotics on Broadway. But Saturday, which is today, we get up.
Morning.
We go to a Cars and Coffee. Johnny comes down.
Yep, good friend. C10 Outlaw Nation. He drives a box C10 and he loves them boxes and
some cool cars and cars. There was a bedazzled 458 Ferrari. It had a bunch of tiny little like diamond beads all over it.
It's terribly applied.
That shit was ugly.
It was seams.
I thought it was just a dirty ass car.
The crystals were too small to make a point.
Yeah, they were
definitely not BS quality. They were like not even close to Swarovski. Not even close.
Right. That's not what they were doing. But in that Cars and Coffee, it was okay. But I mean, we're going to Cars and Coffee after Quail. After walking around.
It's hard. It's hard to when you're looking at Koenigseggs and Hennessy Venoms and Gunther Works cars and just Paganis.
$2 million cars.
Yeah. All day.
But we walk across the street, and there's the Concours de Lemons, which is car show full of lemon cars.
Bad cars. Worst car wins.
That was
attitude.
Pretty fucking cool because there was like a lot of one-offs, a lot of pieces of shit. Peaks. There was a lot of YouTubers walking around. Like Dwayne was calling these people out all day, and I'm like, I don't know who that is.
I watch YouTube a lot. Like 90% of my TV watching is YouTube Premium with no ads, but I'm a data collector, so I'm mentally like if I want to learn how to do trim in a house, I'm going to watch 50 hours of YouTube trim. But so I do watch some car videos, not a lot, and car YouTubers, of course. Doug DeMuro, does reviews on cars, and Straight Pipes, for reviews on cars. But I have watched Tavarish, who's a YouTuber.
So what's the name of his show? Because we were rolling around with him this morning.
I want to say, God, it's
you're like, that's Tavares. I said, who?
Yeah, he does. It's damn, I can't think of it. It's Wrench Every Day or something like that. But he's a guy that started out buying salvage cars and cars that were tore up, and he'd fix them in his garage and say, "Look what I did! I put it back together, and it works great." And he became really popular. He bought a crash, or it was a gas fire burn Gallardo, and he took the motor apart, twin turboed it, and kind of blew up YouTube with that, kind of went viral. And then, of course, he stuck to that formula. So now he bought a McLaren, something 20, 520, 620, 720. And like the carbon fiber tub was destroyed, and the chassis parts were all broken up, and they came in a box, and he put this car back together without the help of McLaren because they wouldn't help him because it was a salvage title. And so that was a big part of his last couple year or two of putting this McLaren together, and a lot of his followers followed that. So he was there. And then Ed Bolian, they're doing this Car Trek thing. Ed Bolian is
Car Trek is what it was.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. Yeah.
So Ed Bolian is the VinWiki guy. If you don't know,
VinWiki was there.
The car stories. And then Hoovie's Garage. That was the third person that makes up this Car Trek series they're doing on YouTube.
Yeah.
And so I watched the first, and it's kind of funny. It's kind of like a slapstick version of Top Gear, the TV show that used to be on. So they go around and they we're going to pick the best salvage car under $50,000, and they get a bunch of random cars and they beat on them until they fall apart, and everybody laughs about it. But they were actually there, so I was surprised. This is the first time I really ran into somebody. You know how to deal with YouTubers sometimes because they're kind of famous, but they're really not. So you're
people knew who they were. So yeah, I hear you. They're it's a different.
You don't know if they're going to be assholes.
It's a different type of fame. In fact, one guy I saw when he got done. He got done in front of the camera, and I was watching him like, wow, he's really good at this. As soon as he got done, like the look on his face, his whole personality changed. And some old man was standing there, and he looked at me and goes, "Hey, man, I'm really a big fan of your YouTube show." And he kind of looked at the old man and just looked away and started talking to the guy filming. I was like, God, what a dick.
Fucking Brad Pitt.
Like, you have to say.
Brad Pitt wouldn't do that.
You have to say, hey, man, thanks. I appreciate it.
You got to, I mean, you're there. I mean, by all means, if Brad Pitt wants to be an asshole, I think he's
It wasn't Brad Pitt. I don't know what the fuck Dwayne's talking about.
My point is that if he was Brad Pitt, you could you could say that, he's earned the right to be an asshole, but a YouTuber like literally lives off views and fans. So it's 100% fan driven.
Which, by the way, Brad Pitt was rumored to be at the Quail, and he probably was, because usually they have like an hour where the super celebs can come in the morning. And so if he was there, and honestly, sometimes there's just people walking around during the day that are super celebs.
There's like a 7 foot tall.
I think it was
Djokovic.
Yep. I think it was
I don't know,
the MVP. Yep.
Yeah. He was definitely, if he didn't play basketball, he was servicing light poles. I mean, this guy was massive. But people watching was great there too. But yeah, the Lemons thing was great. There was a bunch of crazy cars there.
Nikola Jokic. Yep.
Yeah. And Wayne Carini was there from Chasing Classic Cars. So it was kind of interesting to see these people. They're always shorter than you realize.
Like, you never know until you see them, right?
Yeah, and you're like, oh, he's dwarf too. So it was kind of cool, and it was very festive and lighthearted, and even the people on the microphone doing announcements were great. So that was a great event that was packed, literally, for just a handful of cars that were terrible. But it was a great turnout as far as I could see for something that was kind of off the beaten path.
That was pretty nuts. So after that, we go to Laguna Seca. And so we had to we were running out of time. We had the plane to catch. It was like, okay, do you go to Laguna? Do you go to Exotics on Broadway? I told Johnny. And then actually, Amy Shackelford ran into us at the Quail.
Yeah. She was telling us.
I was unexpected because I don't really know her. I know Johnny, but I don't really know her. I've seen her and she sees me, and I comment on some of her posts, and she, comments back. But I get this, how chicks kind of backhand you with their hand when they're going past you.
Like, hey, you didn't see me.
All in the arm. Yeah, like, hey. And I was like, oh, it's Amy. And it's like the first time I've ever even talked to her.
Yeah, no, she was giving
me the business. That was super fucking cool.
Yeah, she was telling us about what was coming and all that. And it was anticipated, but when we had to make the decision between going to that and going to Laguna Seca was having vintage Le Mans cars and other cars running full speed today on the track. And I've never been to a racetrack outside of Michigan, which are mostly small, things you can rent out for the day. I've done track days with friends and stuff like that, but nothing to this caliber. And I'm not somebody that I would consider a race fan. But
because make no mistake, he's a car guy. But going back to the beginning of the podcast, talking about sitting next to Pat Bondurant, I didn't even know what Bondurant was because I'm not a car racing historian either until I moved to Arizona. I watched the 24-Hour War, which was Adam Carolla and Matt Yoder.
Yeah, shout out to Matt. Oh, I'm sorry. Shout out to Adam.
Adam. Yeah. And I didn't even know. And I'm a car guy. So it's just like, you have people who love different things, is basically what I'm saying. Yeah,
and we've talked to some people that were at the event, and we went out to dinner the other night, and some people are just into like the whole process of making a car, like the designers and the engineers that worked on the motor and all that stuff. I mean, I'm not gonna say I don't care, but I just don't get that deep. It's like I like cars, and I like cars in general. I like all types of cars, but I've got affinity towards Porsche. So when we start talking about some of the vintage racing stuff that was going on at Laguna Seca, it's like, let's go check it out. And wow, I was like a kid in a candy shop there. All the vehicles there and the noises, and
met up with Eric Pasha.
Yeah, shout out Last Air.
Shout out to Last Air brand.
And yeah, it was a good time. I mean, it was great to be there with Eric because he had the knowledge.
Oh, he loves that shit.
He was like, "Oh man, this is the racing pig, flying pig car that won the Le Mans in '87, and the racer is Jim Studebaker." And I'm like, "Oh, sweet!" And take a picture. Right. I'm not gonna remember that shit. I know it's a dope
I know
ass Porsche.
cars from Gran Turismo.
Yeah, and that was the big part of today for me because I've raced Laguna Seca on Gran Turismo because it's got that famous thing where you're going too fast, you hit the little bump, and then boom, you slam right into the wall.
Corkscrew.
Yeah, and then you fall down the corkscrew. It was amazing to see that in person and to really understand the change of an elevation in that track is just crazy. And to see the cars going around it and some of those older cars that have no business going over 30 miles an hour just flying up and down that track. It's pretty cool.
So what was your favorite car this weekend?
Through the whole thing, like Laguna Seca, everything.
Let's break it up because it's not really a fair question.
Yeah.
So what was your favorite car at the racetrack, Laguna Seca? What was your favorite car at the Quail? And was there a car outside of either? Because this weekend is broken up into so many different events.
Yeah.
Some have more access than others. So for a lot of people, like the photographers, the craze chasers,
the car spotters,
the car spotters that they go to exotics on Broadway, and there's stuff on exotics on Broadway that weren't on any of the other events. But their highlights, they're gonna go to exotics.
A billion Apple iPhone pictures.
You're gonna have to go to Carmel
afternoon.
because most of those guys aren't getting into the track. Wasn't that expensive today? It was expensive, $120, but usually it's like $50-$60, but they're not getting into the Quail without some sort of special access or media credentials.
And it was cool about the track, actually, which I think probably made the day, because I have friends that do Formula One or Indy, and they pay a lot of money to like just catch a hat, as the guy's walking by type thing. But to be able to be beyond having access today, like you could literally walk wherever you wanted. Like there's a guy where he's got a tire off, you can just stand over him and
you can stand on the tire.
You literally can just walk up and kick it, and he's looking at you like, "What are you doing here?" But to be able to walk up and these cars are just literally priceless race cars.
Oh yeah, these people, they're out there truly enjoying them because some of these are literally one of one in the world, and they're out there pushing them.
And they're like, this is a famous car. Not only that, but this is a famous car that won Le Mans like the 70s. And it's, here's some guy that's out here in a race suit driving it at 150 miles an hour around a turn. And you're thinking, it's just pretty amazing. So to see, and to be honest with you, I'm going to probably go a little bit off my normal pattern, what you're going to see when it comes back to cars that like the Ferraris, the older Ferraris, the vintage Ferraris that were at Le Mans today were probably my favorite.
Really good, right?
Man, they sound amazing. Yeah. The curves on those cars, you think about how they made those back in the day. Like they didn't have giant presses and all that stuff. The cars are just beautiful. So that was kind of the biggest take, even though there was some beautiful vintage, Porsches and stuff there. But the Ferraris there kind of took my breath away, to be honest with you, and the sounds and stuff.
What about the Quail? You threw that question at me. If you had $2 million, which one of these cars you would take?
if I'm going to take something home, it's got to be Gunther Works, or it's got to be a Porsche. That's just me. But if there was some, the Aston Martin 177 that was there. That was the kind of car you don't see ever, and that was amazing. It's a beautiful car. Some of the different color Lamborghini Countachs that were there
was cool.
Yeah, I've never seen that before. The Paganis, I just can never see myself driving one. It's an amazing car, but I would be so worried. It looks so fragile with all the exposed carbon. Like, I don't know where you would drive that, but I would say the rough Porsche there that they had there was perfection, and the Singer was a close second.
That was at the Quail.
At the Quail, yeah.
I think for the racetrack, for me, it's hard. The CLK GTR is
classic
like a car, that Mercedes, the blue one. For the Quail, I think that blue 812 Superfast. The blue 812 Superfast with the black wheels, the black Ferrari emblems all on it.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
That might have been. And there's other cars there I love, like that Gordon Murray T50 was really cool. The T33 was super cool.
Yeah.
The turbine cars. But I think, that was probably my favorite car.
Yeah, I guess as I look back on, I guess I'm not a hyper car person with the new term now. I'm more of a understated, speed, simple. Don't get me wrong.
Well, you're old.
Yeah, that's it too. I'm 48 years old.
I think those bigger fans are they're younger people who are dreaming, been there, done that.
Yeah.
Or they're people who are bored with money and want to know
the
what's
ability,
next.
right? And have the ability to buy a one-seater car that does 250 miles an hour, and you're getting the mail every day or something.
Yeah, they're like, what's next?
Yeah, yeah, totally. So, but it was a great time. The Quail is just one of those things you have to experience. I mean, I'm gonna go home tomorrow, and I'm gonna have people asking me. We got our little car week in Grand Rapids next week, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, you went out to the Quail? How was it?" And it's like, I mean, you're gonna tell them it's great.
Here's what you tell them. You're like, looking around here, none of this stuff excites me.
You guys are all
it was bad before, but none of you motherfuckers, y'all ain't shit.
Everything you think is cool is shit. That's what you're gonna be thinking. Like, you think like, I will kick your door.
There's levels to this stuff.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, it's like
there's levels to it.
These people would not let you drive that to clean their garage. But there's a lot of takeaways. But at the end of the day, I appreciate. I want to say thank you for inviting me along, even if I was 7th or 8th choice.
You got it.
I'm just letting you know.
I have 10 friends
that I will say yes to anything and be there within 24 hours.
So I make it to the list, man.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad you came out. I know it'd be big for you. Yeah, I mean, we got to do something like that again.
Yeah.
It's a great time.
I think we should do SEMA this year.
I don't know. Yoshi and the guys want to go to SEMA. I don't know. I know my boy
hibachi spot.
Stefan had he's got some rooms he can reserve.
Yeah, he's the man. He's the book king.
Dude, Stefan is quietly the man with everything.
Oh yes,
he's got all the hookups. But
I know.
Thank you for coming in the studio. We're gonna wrap this up. Tomorrow we're gonna go to the Clean Enough Cars and Caffeine event in the morning.
Nice.
And then get you in the airport.
Back to Michigan, home of water.
I want to thank Right Honda and Right Toyota, Augusta, Arizona, 4-Wheel Online. Thanks, Dwayne, for reading that ad spot. Cell Shop Wireless Services, which this conversation was brought to you by. And Westgate Exotic Cars and Rentals. Got a few photos for Westgate. Big Corvette guy, Mr. Drew Bunkley, out there this weekend. I also secured another interview with Adam Carolla. So a year ago, we did a 15 minutes. I approached him and I said, "Hey, Adam." It took me a while to approach him. He seemed he was kind of weird. He was in a weird zone this year.
He's a pretty chill guy.
He's chill guy. He was a little different than he's been in the past. But I pulled him aside and, "Hey, you were on my show last year, and remember we called Wes. We didn't call Wes this year, but I said, remember we called my buddy Wes Tankersley on FaceTime." He said, "Yeah, I remember." I said, "Yeah, we had a 15-minute call." He goes, "Yeah, I remember that." I go, "Okay, good, because
you're getting back
as
on.
We wrapped up the call, I said, I'd like to get you back on.
Right. Signing you up.
And you said, "Cool, are you still cool with it?" He goes, "Yeah, totally, let's do it." Well, he was like, yeah, we can do that. And he told me to reach out to Matt DeAndrea, which I text him once every blue moon, and I respond to his PMs, and it's just keeping up those relationships.
Right, it's all about networking.
Adam, I'm pleased to announce at least he's verbally committed to coming back on the show for a better conversation and hopefully a better connection. Because last time he was driving from point A to point B. But
that'll make an interesting conversation.
I want to thank Patreon business supporter Kuya Automotive out of Winter Garden, Florida, who probably hasn't listened to this podcast in about 6 months. Also, Pell Construction out of Caledonia, Michigan. What's going on? Dennis. He should be coming to the Valley soon, hopefully. If you're in a position to help the podcast upgrade, join the Patreon for as little as $3 a month and get access to bonus audio as well as show swag. I'm wearing my own shirt now, which, by the way, I still have Hard Parking Podcast shirts. $25 goes to proceeds go to help local efforts in need, not me. Other stuff makes a big difference. There's people who need wishes granted, and Jane DeMilio is going to do that. I want to thank Mark Stoneman, Catherine Cox, Eddie Ramos, Richard Graves, Byron Jones, Bo Jung, Alex Gamina, Alex
Missed out, bro. But
You missed out.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for giving up your seat on the Joy bus.
And Drew Bunkley. So, if you want to reach out to me, you can hit me up at Jhae Pfenning, JHAEPFENNING on Instagram. If I said that too fast, my name is on the show. Follow Dwayne Johnson, not The Rock. Jupiter Fish shows Jupiter Fish. Ran together, Jupiter Fish. Or J Travels, JHAE_Travels is my other page. Make sure you join the Hard Parking Violations. Want to thank all the new Hard Parking Violators. The group is over 300 strong. It'd be nice if all 300 of you listen to the podcast. You don't. That's all right. And
shout out to Pat.
Shout out to Pat Bondurant. Maybe I can get her on the show.
She'd love to do the show.
Join the YouTube.
I was bragging about you.
Oh, by the way, yeah. So Acura, they brought Amelia Hartford out. So she's Miss Amelia on Instagram.
Very nice person.
Super nice person. A little intimidating because she's so smart. She's very attractive. She builds cars. And I look like a fool. Like I did. So she was doing these interviews with Acura, and they're like, "Get out there." And I go, "No."
Get out there. I go,
"No," and I got kind of tricked. Remember Super Friends?
Yep.
And they would always trick that guy into saying his name backwards.
Mexelplick.
That guy.
Plexel skin.
Yeah. So
Plexel skinned you.
I got basically, I got tricked into going out there, and she asked me these questions about the. You'll probably never see it because I sound like such a fucking goober.
We couldn't hear you because we saw you talking, but there was no audio.
The microphone was going into the Zoom. Zoom H6. So maybe
you could have been saying.
Maybe I get Miss Amelia on the show, which would be super freaking cool. Yeah. Also, I talked to Jeff. He works for the Phoenix Police Department about coming on to the show, and he's down as well. I talked about that a few episodes
Shout out
ago.
Police Department.
Yeah, we're gonna make this happen. So, remember, I can't grow without you telling the world how good the show is. Let's do this. Let's grow this thing together, and I'll talk to you all next week.
Facts.